On today's show, we invite Town of Plymouth Health and Human Services Commissioner Michelle Bratti on for community conversations. Go on the local scene with the Herring Pond Wampanoag Tribe, hear original poetry, and talk about upcoming things to do in our area. We're glad you're here. Let's get started. The Herring Pond Wampanoag Tribe, Community Art Collaborative, and the Plymouth Public Library together created a coloring book and resource guide to help educate all children about the important story and heritage of this Indigenous tribe. We went on the local scene to the Plymouth Public Library for the unveiling of this incredible work.
Flowers and other wildlife that leave during the winter.
What are we doing here today? We are launching the Herring Pond Coloring and Resource Guide for children who are K through, 92.
Interesting stories to share. Some are shared at family gatherings and some have been written.
The coloring book is the story of the Herring Pond Wampanoag Tribe. It is their stories, their histories. It is designed to help educate and inform the people of Plymouth, but also the surrounding counties and hopefully the country.
So the relationship with the CAC and the Herring Pond Wampanoag Tribe came about a couple of years ago when we did a partnership with Plymouth Public Schools, and we had a camp, a 4-day camp through our Diners Path with about 6 students and Herring Pond members in the CAC.
The Community Art Collaborative was founded to create and tell stories that we don't always hear. And it occurred to McLeana and I as we started to create friendships and relationships with this beautiful tribe that their story was not one that had been told as well as it should be, and that our children were growing up and not understanding an important part that Indigenous peoples play in our communities today.
I think as Indigenous people, and I think particularly for Herring Pond, we were always in history written as very autonomous, but we can't confuse autonomy with extinction, because we're obviously not extinct. So speaking out and sharing our story is never more important. Our autonomy over the years, unfortunately, in some ways, I always say our silence will perpetuate our erasure. And it's really critical that we not only share our history. I mean, how important is the history of that little tribe in the, at the center and the ground zero of colonization, than to share that history with the town. We're often we feel invisible often in the story. Of course, we're part of the greater Wampanoag Nation. We know it was a 60 plus loose confederation of many different tribes, but the Herring Pond people have been written in the records, and since the early 15th century, when these things were being documented, and until today. And we trace our descendants back to those times in Plymouth, in Manomet, in Cedarville, in Bourndale. And I mean, it's critical that we share, especially in Plymouth, in Bourne, and in Barnstable and Plymouth counties in southern New England. I mean, it really is. So we have to share the story.
Kids are big sponges. They'll learn from whatever you put in front of them. So just having this in front of them, having them get this exposure is going to be great, because they're going to learn so much more about the Herring Tribe than they knew before.
Make ink and dye for art. You can use berries.
I learned how you can make berries into paint. What you have to do is you have to squish the berries and then you paint with them and it makes paint. Because you use the juice from the berries.
The coloring book is broken into 3 sections. The first section of the coloring book talks about the change of seasons. Did you know that the Herring Pond Tribe celebrates the beginning of the year in the spring? I didn't know until we started working on this coloring book. It also goes into folklore and stories that are shared. And then the last section of the coloring book talks about arts and crafts.
The coloring book is all about education. So for a very long time, we have lots of education about pilgrims and how they fit into Plymouth. So it's great to have something where it's the Herring Pond Tribe and how they fit into Plymouth and the history of Plymouth, and just kind of teaching kids of all ages.
Well, I think a lot of the work that we do now is to reconnect our youth and our elders and all of our membership back to the traditional times. And we may lose sight of those things in this modern world that we live in with the modern tools, and it's critical and to teach them and show them in this visual learning, and that is this coloring book, about their culture and about some of the traditions.
Herring Pond Wampanoag artist Quincy Harding is an artist, and she created the design in our own coloring book.
I want it to be something that they are proud of, that they can relate to, that they are proud to show, family and friends about their culture. I also think, I want them to learn about it as well. And I think even, as an artist too, like obviously all kids like coloring books, but being able to color it in, show people, and even hang it up on the fridge, show your friends. I think that's something that will make other kids interested, help them learn, and overall, hopefully build the community even bigger.
Storytelling comes in all kinds of forms. And when you pair storytelling in a coloring book, you're now interacting with that. Not only the person who's coloring the book, but the parent or the guardian or family member who's reading it. Now everybody's sharing in, learning these new stories about this very vibrant and rich culture.
Their longevity in the community and their livelihood, which we don't really know a lot about at times. We did not learn a lot about it in school, and it is our hope that if we provide this to young people, that it'll be more part of the fabric of what we learn every day.
I learned about how North America, people like to say Turtle Island because it kind of shapes like a turtle.
It was important to tell the history of the Herring Pond Wampanoag culture to our children that are Native and non-Native children, because unfortunately our story has been diminished and a lot of people don't know about it. So for us to let people know around Plymouth and other areas that we're still here is very important to us.
I have an 11-year-old granddaughter, and I think her, when she was about 6, she had watched a presentation and we were included in it. And I said to her, when you talk about it in school, and does it make you feel happy, or what do you feel, and I was so fearful that she would say, oh, I'm embarrassed, or it makes me feel awkward. And she said, oh, it makes me feel so important and special. So it really does build their morale to be acknowledged, and especially the coloring book. How fun is that, right?
It was important for us to co-collaborate with the tribe and tell their story and let them tell their story. We're so proud that Quincy Harding, who is a tribe member, illustrated the book.
I think it was an honor to be asked to do the coloring book. I've been wanting to get more involved in the tribe, so I think this is really up my alley. I think the whole community is really great, and I think them giving me this chance to kind of do my part, I think is really amazing for my career and just to be more involved.
These stories represent important, conversations and parts of their culture that, we've all learned from. The Three Sisters Garden, wampum, things of that nature. We just really wanted to get the word out and help people understand the beauty of what is right in front of them. And when you visit Plymouth, that there is the story of the people who colonized it, and there is the story of the people who resided here before and are still here now.
It's critical and to teach them and show them in this visual learning, and that is this coloring book, about their culture and about some of the traditions. And it's just really amazing for them to see their history written, to see that their name in print, talking about their nation and their people and our traditions that we have that are maybe different from others. Each tribe is unique in itself, and it does give our youth really a sense of individuality and self, I feel.
The Duxbury Rural and Historical Society is ringing in the holidays with Decades of Duxbury, an immersive celebration of the town throughout its years. Rooms in the King Caesar House will become time capsules you can walk through, adorned with decorations representing different decades. When you arrive at the end of the self-guided tour, take the opportunity for some seasonal shopping in the Duxbury Rural and Historical Society Holiday Store. It all begins on Friday, December 13th with a preview thank you party from 4 to 8 p.m. for current members of the Society. You're asked to RSVP to this free event on the website. All are welcome to come and enjoy the Decade of Duxbury tour on Saturday, December 14th and Sunday, December 15th from 12 to 4 p.m. There is no advance registration required on these days, and the cost is just $10 paid at the door. Next, in a reading of her original work is poet Chris Zaremba.
Good evening. My name's Chris Toto Zaremba, and thank you for having me. So I do have a couple of bar poems and then my favorite. Well, first of all, anybody have a birthday? We all do, I know that. But I didn't know if you have one coming up. But okay, well, here's a birthday cheer for you. We'll raise a glass, we'll raise them high. You'll tell your age, but maybe lie. The next drink will be tall and neat. Soon you'll have to grab your seat. Let the spirits play tonight with music, cake, and candlelight to celebrate and mark one more year. Here's to you, a birthday cheer. And this is some advice my mother gave me. It's called I Prefer Whiskey. Beware of men who drink the brew. My mother said to me, they'll always want too much from you. You just wait and see. But men who drink of the vine, they're romantic and like to play. They savor food and know their wine, a fine Chianti, Merlot, or Rosé. I asked the next man on a date, do you drink wine or prefer a beer? He replied, I'd rather a good whiskey straight. Beer makes me belch, and the wine I fear. Fear the wine, how can that be? It's romantic, dry, and sometimes sweet. Yes, said my date, I do agree, but somewhere squished it with their feet. And some of you have heard this one before, but it's my fave. It's called Cleaning My Pipes. He came to clean my pipes today, a toolbox in his hand. I opened my front door to him, a very good-looking man. He followed me to my bedroom. The pipes were beyond that door. He hung his hat upon the hook. He laid his tools upon my floor. I asked if I could watch him work or if he preferred I look away. He smiled, a bad boy smile, and told me I could stay. He began to unscrew the first pipe, his hands so big and strong. A bead of sweat rolled down my face. He asked if something was wrong. Leaning over above the tub, drawn up, down upon his knees, he asked if I could hold his wrench so he could get a tighter squeeze. His arm, it rubbed against my thigh as I held the wrench so tight. Then the faucet let out a boom. Water gushed out with all its might. We laughed to ease the tension as we stood there dripping wet. I handed him a towel, but he had not finished yet. He cleaned my pipes, packed up his tools, and said that was quite an afternoon, and that he'd be back another day to clean my other pipes real soon.
Time with friends over a dinner plate of hearty, delicious food is a recipe for seasonal joy. Come imbibe when the Pembroke Council on Aging hosts their annual holiday dinner party on Wednesday, December 18th. Plates will be filled straight from the carving station with turkey and all the fixins, all cooked by a special guest chef. Guitarist Bob Bandera will perform live, seasoning the festive spirit of the dinner with a delightful selection of gentle acoustic songs. The dinner party starts at 12 noon at the Senior Center, located in Pembroke at 128 Center Street. Today on Community Conversations, Plymouth Health and Human Services Commissioner Michelle Bratti talks to Child and Family Services CEO Wendy Botello.
Wendy, it is so awesome to have you here today and to talk about all the incredible things that Child and Family Services does. We really at HHS have been looking at multiple components of health, and honestly, mental health is probably one of the biggest components that we're looking at. I'm sure in any community, but definitely in the Plymouth community. I'm really excited about what your agency offers and was excited that you were going to take the time to talk with us today, or talk with me a little bit and our community about what you do. So mental health, here we go, right? I know since COVID, particularly, it's been difficult for people to find providers, to know where to turn for services, or even to know what mental health is these days. So talk to me, what is going on in the mental health world, and specifically, what are you here to offer Plymouth?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you for having us. We're always excited to be able to talk about mental health and how it impacts all of the communities that we serve.
Yeah.
We are here in Plymouth. We have a CBHC, which is a Community Behavioral Health Center. We're on 61 Industrial Park Road here in Plymouth, and we're in partnership with High Point Treatment Center.
People didn't even know that.
I know.
People didn't know you were here. I didn't know you were here. I'm so excited.
So we're here, right?
Yeah.
And what's a Community Behavioral Health Center? Well, it's part of the Behavioral Health Roadmap that Massachusetts launched about 2 years ago. And Child and Family Services, we actually have 3 Community Behavioral Health Centers. Wow. But here in Plymouth, what we have is same-day access that folks can walk in, receive services through High Point through High Point Treatment Center, and they can get their mental health crisis services through Child and Family Services. Same location, right there on 61 Industrial Park Road. We've actually been in the Plymouth area for 15 years, which is shocking to a lot of people who don't realize it.
Plymouth, just catching up.
And what we do, our part of the service is crisis. So 24/7, right? So that's the other really important part. 24/7, we're available for anyone's behavioral health, mental health crisis needs. We can come out to your house. We can meet you at your location, if that's your school or your work or your parents' house. We can meet with your children. We can meet with yourself, with your parents, any age, any insurance type. We can either invite you into our office or we can meet you at your location.
Wow. So walk me through this. I'm someone that's feeling like things just aren't good. And I'm worried, or I'm not in great space. I can call the number that we're going to provide to our community, and someone will answer.
That's right.
And kind of assess how I'm doing or what my needs might be.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll say the number now, and we'll say it again, right? Because it's really important. It's 508-996-3154. And when you call that number, you will get a live person who answers the phone. And it's through our call center. And they'll be able to triage and assess what's going on, right? So you're able to say, I'm just really not in a good space. I've been feeling depressed, right? Not feeling myself. And I really don't know what I should do. And we'll be able to talk through some scenarios, right? Does that mean that we need to make sure that you get seen by an outpatient clinician, right? Does it mean that you need a crisis eval and we need to go out to your home? Right then, we'll be there within 60 minutes is our requirement, that we're there within 60 minutes. Or that you come to our location, right? We talk about what the different options are and how we're able to service you and what works for you, what makes sense for your life and what's going on and how you want to be able to be assessed.
So this incredible service is available in the Plymouth community.
Yep.
That phone number for anybody that needs to reach out, and they will be helped through that process.
That's
and
right.
determine best needs for that person or family or child, as you said. anyone. That's incredible.
That's right.
I'm super excited that you're here. Talk to me, though. I know you mentioned that it's through High Point, and I know you and I had an honest conversation about sometimes people think of High Point, which is an incredible agency within itself, but when they think of High Point, they think that maybe these services are only for people with addiction issues or opioid struggles.
Right, right.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so they're not, right? Plain
Okay,
and simple,
good.
they're not.
I
They're
love
for
it, yeah.
everybody,
Okay.
right? And so the services are provided through Child and Family Services, and we've partnered with High Point. And so our crisis services are a big part of what Child and Family Services does, and the individual counseling and what they call core services is through High Point, right? But we're partnering together, we're working together. And so what's really great about that is we get more substance use experience by partnering with High Point. They get more experience through behavioral health, through partnering with us and with children. And so we work together to be able to provide what the community here in Plymouth needs.
That's amazing. And you're right, that you're just helping each other and teaching each other, but you don't have to have necessarily an opioid issue to access these services, as you said.
Absolutely not.
But if you do,
you can get services
you've
too.
got 2 for 1. Right, exactly. So that's amazing. And I know many of our residents actually know about the service you provide already in Plymouth, but probably don't know that you're the Oz behind the curtain, that you're actually the agency. Many of our residents know about our incredible Plymouth Police Department triage team, if you will. So can you tell us a little bit about that? And for those that don't know, but how you're connected to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 years ago, we met with the Plymouth Police Department and we established a co-response program. We have some established in Fall River, New Bedford as well. And we reached out to Plymouth and we were able to start with clinicians. And we were up to 16 hours a day where we have a clinician who rides along with the police department, and they're able to respond to mental health calls. They actually respond to all calls, but they're specifically engaged to try to respond to those mental health calls. It allows for the clinician to be able to de-escalate with individuals. It allows for individuals to be able to have that touch point and be able to work through some of those mental health needs that they may have that don't necessarily require police intervention, but people don't always know that they can contact us for that.
Yeah, I think it's really incredible that I know our police Chief Flynn, is a huge fan of
It's been a great
Child
support.
and Family and a great partnership. But really, for a community to understand, such as ours, I think it's incredible that just like you talked about your partnership with High Point, you look at, I'm calling it criminal justice, but you look at the police world, right? And they're looking at things from their perspective, as they should. They have to keep the community safe. But for our police department and others that you mentioned to understand that people sometimes need additional or different types of help, but their actions may be looking, a little unstable. I love that they understand that that is an incredible benefit for our community, and I know it's been an extremely successful program so far.
It has been, and we're able to allow so many more individuals to understand the services, and so that way next time maybe they don't need to call the police or they don't need to go to the hospital, right? Because I think it's important to note that we're able to do crisis evaluations without going to the hospital, right? Hospitals mean long wait times, crowded emergency rooms, and so you're able to get those services through us. We'll triage and be able to have those conversations and be able to have whatever the next level of care is for you, right? And if that means a hospital setting, then we can work through that, but we can provide a lot of intervention before that. Because even though I mentioned that we're crisis services, you don't have to be in a crisis.
Okay, that's
right?
important.
It's really important, right? So do we work with individuals who are in crisis? Yes, we do, right? But are we also just working with somebody who's experiencing extreme anxiety or depression or substance use or, right? So we really actually want to work with you before you're in crisis so we can provide intervention and assistance to you so you don't need those higher levels of care.
I love it. Tell us about your next adventure in Plymouth,
Sure.
your new initiative. I
We
know
do.
you made a presentation.
I know, we
to
have
the
a
select
very-
board. They were very excited.
Yep.
Talk
We're
to
pretty
us.
excited too. So our next adventure is a mobile crisis van, right? We've really recognized that sometimes people just don't come to us, right?
Sure.
So we're going to get out there and go to them, right? So we will have a van here in Plymouth, in addition to some of our other locations, that is out in the community, right? It'll be a van that individuals can access. So certainly, if we get called out to somewhere, we can use the van. We don't always have to. We'll drive in our personal cars, but if that's appropriate, we can do that. But really, it's just to be out there in the community so that way people can see us, recognize us, know what we're doing, and come to the van to be able to get services. We'll be able to work with people. It's a mobile office. So people can come right into our van. We can do the assessment, and we can come up with our next steps from there.
It's not like you're riding around in a van with a bullhorn saying,
No.
hey, anyone needing some services, come
on in.
It's
No.
literally an office.
It's an office
with,
on wheels.
With chairs, with like literally
Yep.
a private office. And, you know, it brings up a good point, and I hope it goes without saying for our residents and community. This is confidential.
Oh, yeah.
We understand, and you understand, that people just sometimes need some help. And that's here, ready and waiting, through Child and Family and honoring where people are at.
Yes.
It's tough today. It's a
It
little
is.
tough out there.
Yeah,
So
it is.
last, how would you define mental health? What should people call for? What might they be experiencing that they might want to reach out to you for some additional help?
Sure. I mean, I think that anybody who is experiencing thoughts of wanting to die or hurt themselves or feeling suicidal should absolutely reach out, number one, right? We want to be able to do suicide prevention first and foremost. But we also want to work with people before they start feeling that way. Do you not feel the same at work? Are you not getting the same type of enjoyment? Are you not sleeping well? Are your relationships doing poorly? Are you finding yourself anxious all the time? Are you just not feeling like yourself and you can't sort through it all? Those are the times we want you to reach out. For your loved ones, for your children, is their behavior different? Are they not responding in the same way? Are you having a hard time getting them to talk through what their problems are? Are they having difficulties in school, right? Those are times that you can reach out. We want to be able to be preventative. We want to be able to work with you before you feel like you're in crisis.
I love that you have this here in Plymouth.
We do.
And I can't thank Child and Family enough supporting this community, being part of this community, and really embracing what people need and services that they have at their fingertips. Wendy, it's amazing. Thank you so much for being here and part of our amazing community. Thank you.
Thank you.
What really causes slow computers? On Wednesday, December 11th, the Kingston Public Library is hosting Mark Anthony Arena, author of How to Protect Yourself from Your Computer, for an enlightening talk that will reveal ways to guard against computer viruses, spyware, fake toolbars, and spam. He will impart knowledge on backing up your computer, how to save on printer ink, and yes, why our technology can get bogged down and run slowly. Finally, Mark will talk about how to easily identify fake tech support scammers who use scare tactics to get you to give them money. You'll walk out the door more confident in using your digital devices. This program starts at 6 p.m. at the Font School at 16 Green Street in Kingston. It's about an hour long and is free to all. To register, email reference librarian Stephen Miller or call 781-585-0517, extension 6272. Next up is a message from Rescue Plymouth Wildlife.
Hi, I'm Will Fitzgerald, founder of Rescue Plymouth Wildlife, or RPW, a fiscally sponsored project of Mission.Earth, a 501c3 nonprofit. At RPW, we aim to raise awareness about the dangers of rat poisons used in Plymouth and across the Commonwealth for our local ecosystems and wildlife. These poisons also pose serious risks to pets and children, and we're here to help individuals, businesses, and town entities adopt safer pest management strategies that protect public health and our environment. To learn more, please visit our website and connect with us on social media. On December 12th, we're excited to host Norman Smith at Independent Fermentations Brewing. He'll share fascinating stories from his decades of research on snowy owls in Massachusetts, and attendees will learn about ongoing research that aims to untangle some of the mysteries surrounding these charismatic Arctic visitors. Registration is required, so please follow the link to purchase your ticket. It will be a magical evening, and we hope you can join us. Thanks.
The Americana Theater Company is reprising its 2022 original work, An Americana Christmas Carol, at Plymouth Center for the Arts on select dates in December. Written by ATC co-artistic directors Derek Grant Martin and Jesse M. Sullivan, and directed by award-winning Marianne Savelle, the play puts a uniquely Americana stamp on the beloved classic, combining the beauty and redemption themes of the original Christmas Carol story with a nod to the wild comedic elements of Noises Off. The setup: characters Charles and Isabella Richardson, a recently separated couple, try to hold it together on opening night of their production of A Christmas Carol. The scene is chaotic, portraying a cruel and bitter Charles bent on playing the role of Scrooge offstage as much as on. Can the ghosts of Christmas and marriage change his heart and save the production? Find out at An Americana Christmas Carol, with performances on December 12th through the 21st at 7 p.m. and 2 p.m. matinee performances on December 15th and 21st. The show content is appropriate for all ages and runs about 90 minutes. Visit the Americana Theater website to get your tickets. The winter season brings new enchantment to Seoul Homestead. On December 13th and 14th, experience the magical Luminaria Walk when the nature trails at Seoul become a beautifully atmospheric pathway, aglow with candles, and an immersive story walk about the winter solstice. This is a captivating and unique experience and is wonderful for all ages. Starts at 5 p.m. and embarks in groups limited to 15 people, running in 20-minute increments. The last walk is at 7:45. It is recommended that tickets be purchased in advance. The cost is only $5 for children up to age 12, and the price includes a lantern craft activity to help light the path along the way. Adult tickets are $8 and include a free cocoa or coffee. Additional refreshments such as soup and s'mores will be for sale as well. All proceeds go toward the preservation of the homestead. Who is this majestic and nomadic feathered friend from the Arctic regions that is often spotted along New England coastal lands and seen at Logan Airport? On Thursday, December 12th, join Mass Audubon at the Plymouth Public Library Manomet branch to learn all about the anatomy, behavior, and year-round life cycle of the snowy owl, and why they often spend the winter in Massachusetts. This free educational talk starts at 5 p.m., will be enjoyable for people of owl ages, and is sure to be a hoot. Yes, I did. Fly to the Mass Audubon website to sign up. The Plymouth Philharmonic Orchestra is paying special tribute to the film Polar Express, the modern holiday classic released 20 years ago this season. On December 14th and 15th, join conductor Stephen Kridianis and special guest vocalist Rosalind Osser and a very merry orchestra who will be taking this soundtrack out for a long wintry ride at Plymouth Memorial Hall. There will be a guaranteed Santa sighting along with March of the Toys charity drive. Hop in your sleigh and get ready for a wonderful Winterland night at the Phil. Saturday showtimes are 3 and 7:30 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Sunday. Visit the Phil's website to reserve your tickets. Next up is Tiff Phillips with more of what's happening in our area.
When it comes to Christmas, nobody does it quite like Pilgrim Festival Chorus, or the British for that matter. On December 6th, 7th, and 8th, join PFC for a basically British Christmas, seasonal favorites from across the pond, where you'll hear beautiful renditions of musical works from such composers as Ralph Vaughan Williams, Gustav Holst, John Rutter, and James Whitbourne. To add to this majestic performance, you'll hear the added drama of brass, timpani, cello, and flute. A truly magical way to begin the holiday season, this performance will take place at St. Bonaventure Parish at 803 Stay Road in Plymouth. For tickets and times, visit pilgrimfestivalchorus.org. It's that time of year again, time to deck the halls, trim the tree, and shop till you drop. If you're looking for a way to spruce up your holiday shopping experience, take a trip to the historical Plymouth Memorial Hall on December 7th for the Plymouth Holiday Market. Discover this one-day holiday extravaganza with a hand-picked collection of more than 100 local artisans that will give even the Scroogiest of family members something to smile about. Explore an array of giftable art, home decor, jewelry, vintage treasures, and more. And if you're feeling a little peckish during your gift buying experience, there'll be food trucks on standby, ready to serve you up a variety of culinary delights. The fun goes from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and tickets are available for $5, except for your little elves under the age of 12. They get in for free. For more information, visit newenglandopenmarkets.com. On December 6th, get into the holiday spirit at the Town of Plymouth's annual Christmas tree lighting at the Town Hall Green. Take in the sparkling lights of Court Street, enjoy a special Christmas parade, and watch the tree as it illuminates the night sky. And don't forget to venture into local shops to grab everything you need for under the tree. And, of course, the local Scene Street team will be popping up at the Town Green to chat with attendees about all things Christmas. The festivities begin at 5 o'clock p.m. We'll see you there.
Thank you, Tiff. And that, my friends, wraps this episode of What's Good and Good to Know in our area. Thank you for watching.
And we want to thank our patrons, Tiny & Sons, Quintal Brothers, and Squinty's Pizza for supporting our mission of community action through media.
We'll see you on the local scene. For more of what's good and good to know on the South Shore of Massachusetts, hit the subscribe button. And thank you for watching.